Hi, 7th grade. We are continuing our study of volume and surface area of solids. We are working on lesson 8.2. It starts on page 35. Please get your workbooks out now if you haven't done so already. Lesson 8.2 is finding volume and surface area of cylinders. So we are just going to look at the cylinders. Here's the good news. For this practice, you may use a calculator and use 3.14 as an approximation for pi. Round your answers to the nearest tenth if necessary. Okay, we talked about this before spring break, but I wrote this down. You may want to write this on your paper as well. The volume of a cylinder. Now, a cylinder has a circular base, and that circular base maintains its shape from the bottom all the way to the top. So to find the volume, and again, volume is how much stuff would fit inside of it. So if this were a container, how much water could be in there, or how much, whatever it is you're filling it with, how much it can fill up. So if we were to look at finding the volume of a cylinder, it is the area of the base times the height. Well, we said the base is a circle. To find the area of a circle, you would multiply pi times the radius squared. So this is the area of the circle times the height. Surface area is a little bit more difficult because you've got two circles. You've got a base on the bottom and a base on the top, and they match. So pi r squared is the area of the bottom base and the area of the top base, and you have two of them, which is why, I said that wrong. Pi r squared is the area of the circle. We've got two of them. We've got a bottom and a top, and they're identical, so we would have to multiply it by 2. Plus, now this is where it gets tricky. The curved surface, let's look at this. If I were to cut this right here and lay it flat, it would be a rectangle. This is one of the dimensions of the rectangle, and the other dimension is this part spread out. Well, this is the circumference of the circle. So that's this dimension times this dimension. So you would multiply the height of the cylinder times the circumference of the cylinder, of the circular base. So surface area is pi times diameter. That is the circumference times the height. All right, let me make sure we're understanding. Volume is how much will fit inside the figure, how much you can fill it up with. Surface area is if you were to wrap it, how much paper would you need? Well, I would need 2 circular pieces, and that's where this comes from. And then I would need a piece to go around the body of the cylinder. And so that is how much of paper I would need. And then I would add them together. All right, so let's get started. We are going to do a few together, and then you are going to do some of them on your own. And remember, you get to use a calculator. So 1, 2, and 3 are all very similar. You have everything you need to find the volume. It says find the volume of the cylinder. So we are going to use pi times the radius squared times the height. All right. So what you want to do, 6 is the radius. 21 is the height. So you're going to put 6 for the radius, 21 for the height. So it would be the volume equals pi times the radius squared. Well, the radius is 6. So it's going to be 6 squared times 21. So when you put it in your calculator, you're going to use 3.14 times 6 squared is 36 times 21. Get your answer and write it down. So you're going to do the same thing for 2 and 3. 3 is straightforward. 4.5, even though it's on its side, that's the height. And then 1.8 is the radius. So you'll put them into your formula and figure it out. What makes 2 difficult is they give you the diameter. And the diameter is all the way across. So we have to figure out what the radius is. And the radius is halfway across. So half of the diameter is the radius. Half of 28 is 14. So the radius is going to be 14 meters. You're going to use 14 for the radius. The height is 12. So put those in there. All right, number 4, all it is a word problem. Which I think you can work through. All right, let's look at the next page. We are going to look at 7, at this one. All right, 7 says an open cylinder has a diameter of 4 centimeters and a height of 8 centimeters. Find the surface area of the cylinder. Okay, an open cylinder means it has a bottom, but it has no top. Okay, so the surface area is going to be the bottom, base, and then the curved side. So we need surface area. So instead of 2 times pi r squared, we are going to do one of them because it is open in the top. So it's going to be pi times the radius squared plus, again, it's pi times diameter times the height. All right, let's see what it says. An open cylinder has a diameter of 4. So if my diameter is 4, that means the radius is half of that. Half of the diameter is 2. So if the diameter is 4, the radius is 2. It also tells us that the height is 8. So now I'm going to put in there what I know. Again, you're going to use 3.14 times, the radius is 2, it's going to be 2 squared, plus, and I'm going to put this in parentheses. Be sure to do that multiplying first. 3.14 times, the diameter is 4, times the height we said was 8. So now that you have your calculator, you're going to multiply that out, all right, and get your answer. All right, let's look at 8. 8 says a cylindrical bottle, that means it's a cylinder, holds 980 cubic centimeters of syrup. We're talking about what it's holding. That is that surface area or volume, if you're talking about how much is in it. Yeah, that's volume. Okay, the height of the bottle is 13. Calculate the diameter. Okay, we're talking about volume. And again, I would write the formula. So the volume of a cylinder is pi times the radius squared times the height. Now we're going to put in what we know. We know what it holds, 980. So that is the volume. So I'm going to put 980 in for V. 3.14 is for pi times the radius squared. Does it tell us the radius? It does not. Times the height. The height is 13. Okay. So what you are going to do is you're going to take your calculator and you're going to multiply 13 times 3.14. And I think I'm going to have to put this in, I'm going to have to pause this because I don't have a calculator. So let me pause this and I'll come back to you.